Hello, Aubrey. How are you today?
I'm great, Lindsay. Do you watch the Olympics?
I do. I do. The Olympics are such an exciting international event that we all can relate to in some form or other. So I do. What about you?
Yes,
You gonna
yes,
have it
I
on this?
love it. I
Yeah.
love the opening ceremonies. I love so many of the events. I definitely have favorite events, but I know
Yes.
you and Michelle just recently recorded on All Ears English. It was English conversation ideas while you watch sports. And this, I'm
Yes.
like, this is so perfect for the Olympics because
Yes.
you want to connect about the Olympics, right? You want to be able to ask people if they watch it, what their favorite events are. So we're
Yeah.
excited to give you guys phrases to be able to do that.
Yes, for sure. Sometimes people will do watch parties just like we do
Oh,
Super
yeah.
Bowl watch parties in the US, which is just a US thing. Internationally, people will do watch parties for their favorite sport. What do you think is people's favorite sport of the Olympics? Like what comes to mind to you,
Mm.
Aubrey?
For me, it's beach volleyball, awesome, but
Oh,
honestly, but gymnastics for sure where I live, swimming. I
swimming.
have been to some of those watch parties and they're so fun. And it's kind of
They're
fun, just like
fun.
having your team for football or baseball. It's fun to have sort of the sport you get really into.
Yeah, because there's so much national pride. And then there's also just lifelong dreams. I mean, many athletes, this is their event, right? For tennis, we have the Opens, we have the US Open, Wimbledon, we have the Grand Slams. But for some sports, many sports, it's just the Olympics. So there's so much
Exactly.
riding on this. Uh,
Yes,
yeah,
right. And we're making a fun series about this. You guys follow right here for part two about Olympic controversies, because there has
yes.
been a lot of controversy surrounding the Olympics, which is also really interesting to talk to people about.
Yeah, for sure. And and that's really the good stuff that you're going to get into. That's where your fluency level is going to deepen when you actually start talking about interesting things, right? And so
Exactly.
stay tuned for that episode, hit that follow button to catch that later. But what's going on currently with the amount of people that actually watch the Olympics, Aubrey?
Yeah, it's really getting a huge global audience. It's always been pretty popular, but we
Yeah.
have some stats here in 2020, the Tokyo Summer Olympics, over 3 billion people tuned in to watch
Wow.
events. That's amazing.
That's impressive. And then in 2022, I know things got a little messed up with COVID and everything. In Beijing, we had more than 2 billion people watching the Olympics internationally through the TV. So that's kind of awesome.
And I'm
Billions
curious
of
what those
people.
stats will be this year, right? If it's
I
going to
think it's
blow them out of the water or be right there on par with these other numbers.
I have a feeling it'll be higher. I don't know. I think it's going to go back up again, is my
Ah,
guess.
we'll have to
So,
see. We'll have to
yeah.
report back when we find out. That's fun.
For sure. So, conversation starters, right? To find out if now these are different from what we learned before in the other episode, right, Aubrey? From what Michelle and I talked about.
Exactly. Yes. This is
Yes.
when you are going to be watching the Olympics or, while the Olympics are on, there are some fun conversation starters to spark the conversation. And then for each of these, we're providing a follow up. How can you get deeper with someone?
Yes. Love it. So, the first one would be what?
So it's just, are you watching the Olympics? So
Yeah.
when it's on, there are events that night. This is the perfect question, right? And whether you get like a yes, and then there are these fun follow ups, or like, oh no, I hadn't really, then it's still a fun conversation. Ask if they
Yeah.
used to like, right? Ask
Yeah.
if they ever attended any events live. There's so much to follow up and have a fun conversation about it.
Oh, for sure. Right. So, have you ever attended any events live, for example, or has your city ever hosted? I know that Salt Lake City, Aubrey hosted back in 2002, right? And
Yes,
were
I
you
was going
living
to
in Salt Lake
university
City?
there, so
Right.
it was really fun. Everybody was so excited to have it there and be able to attend. It was winter sports, so all the skiing and
Yes.
snowboarding, so fun to go and
Yes.
watch all of those,
Oh, I
yes.
love I love watching bump skiing in the winter. It's so fun to
Oh,
watch them
that's
do that.
fun.
How incredible. It's just artistic the way they do it. Anyways, do you know anyone who has participated in the Olympics? Have you ever known an Olympian? Right?
Right, I have not, but I think this would be so fun to ask someone. You might discover that somebody has a friend or a family member who has participated in an Olympic event.
Yeah, it seems like the ultimate thing to do as athlete, a professional athlete. Like the best thing you could imagine winning would in my mind would be the Olympics.
Yeah,
Ah,
absolutely. At least in the
yeah.
US, right? It's like the end all be all. We have so much pride in our Olympic athletes, and it's very exciting. So I do wonder
Yes.
what this is like all over the world, if it's the same, if you guys out there get as excited about the Olympics as we do.
Yeah. I have a feeling that in Europe and South America, the World Cup is bigger than the Olympics, is my guess.
Probably.
And I
Yeah.
know in tennis, like I said before, the Grand Slams I think are more important, more significant for the players to win than the Olympics. But for other sports, it's the Olympics. So, how do we ask about events, Aubrey? What
Yeah, great
people like to
question.
watch? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just what are your favorite events? And
Mhm.
most often people will have, their favorite events that they like to always tune into. But if not, it's still an interesting conversation, right? If you can ask them, which events are most popular in your country. And that's
Mm.
really fun too, because even if they don't love watching the Olympics, they'll probably know what their friends and family like.
Right. Not every sport is equally popular in every country. This
Right.
could be cultural or what we're used to seeing. I mean, honestly, is soccer an Olympic sport? That's a good question. I don't think it is, right?
I don't
I don't
know.
know. I
That's a
should
good
know this.
question. If so, I have not watched Olympic soccer, but
I
maybe.
should know. I should know it. I should know it. But soccer, meaning football, soccer is not really that popular in the US compared to Spain or Brazil. It's just not.
Mhm.
It hasn't really been part of our lives going through our childhood, many people, right? Wouldn't you
Right.
agree? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And this is interesting too. You can compare, right? If you know someone is really into soccer, always watches the World Cup, it would be
Mhm.
interesting to ask them, like, how do the Olympics compare? Do you still find them
Right.
interesting or do you only want to watch the World Cup? Like, that's still an
Yes.
interesting conversation.
Yes, for sure. Or you could ask someone, if you could choose an Olympic event to compete in, what would you choose? Aubrey, what would it be for you?
Beach volleyball,
Yeah.
absolutely. I am not,
Uh,
good enough. I am not at this Olympic level, but I wish I were. I would love to compete in beach volleyball at the Olympics.
yeah, for sure. I guess for me it would be tennis because that is my sport. It makes sense.
Yeah.
To take your sport to the highest possible
Right?
level. I
Be
love it. I love
amazing.
it.
But at least for
Yeah.
beach volleyball, also, I would be inhibited by the uniform they have to wear. They wear these like tiny bikinis, and I
Oh,
do not play beach
yeah.
volleyball. And that they're used to it, right? It would be difficult for
Yeah.
me.
And also sunburn. Oh
Right.
gosh.
Yes. Right.
All right. What would be a third category of what we could bring up?
Yeah. Third is interesting to say, like, what do you think are the benefits of the Olympics to get into a conversation about like the economic impact for a city, how much it costs
Yeah.
them to host, and also global relations, right? To ask, do you think the Olympics help us create global harmony, global unity?
Yeah, socio-political effects of the Olympics, power. There's a lot here that you could go into. And in the next episode, we're going to get a little taster of some of the issues. And there are
Yes.
more too than what we'll hear about. But this is the good stuff. Like this is where you really the rubber meets the road, right, Aubrey? In
Yes,
terms
this
of
makes for
conversation.
really interesting conversations, right?
Yeah.
All of these just asking if we watch the Olympics, what events, but also getting a little deeper about like the economic impacts, the global impact, how this affects or improves society or not. That's an interesting conversation.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. We're going to take a quick break and then come back and show you guys a role play. All right, Aubrey. So here we are chatting. We are at an opening ceremony watch party. Do you watch the opening ceremonies
Yeah,
yourself?
I haven't every year, but I have been to a few of these watch parties for the opening ceremonies, and it's a
For
lot like a
sure.
Super Bowl party, right? Where it's more about the food, but you're also watching the opening ceremonies, and I love that, watching all of the different countries with their flag, like, I feel like it's such a great place to show national pride, and I think it's fun.
Yeah, it's a momentous occasion,
Yeah,
and you can't help but feel some national pride, right? As you said earlier,
totally.
at that opening ceremony, and also when your country wins an event, or
Right, and they
medals
play
when
your
they medal.
national anthem, and you see the people on
Yes.
the podium, right? It's
Yeah, it's kind
true.
of awesome.
Yeah,
It's pretty
I
cool,
agree.
for sure. All right, let's have a conversation. Let's do it.
All right.
So, do you always watch the Olympics, Aubrey?
Whenever I can, I definitely have a few favorite events.
Oh, yeah? Which are your favorites?
Definitely beach volleyball and swimming. What about you?
I love swimming too, especially the relay.
Yeah. If you could choose an Olympic event to compete in, what would you choose?
Definitely tennis. Aubrey, how'd you know I was gonna say that?
I predicted that for you. I had a feeling.
So predictable. Oh, man, I love it. All right, so good stuff. So what did we say here? We said
You started us
what are the key
out.
mhm, yes.
Oh, let's see. I started. Oh, yeah. You just asked me, do you always watch the Olympics? Because the other thing is, when someone is invited to an opening ceremonies watch party, or if the
Yeah.
Olympics are going on, we can't assume that everyone's a fan, that everyone's watching. So it's a really great idea just to start with this. Like, do you watch the Olympics? Or if you're at Olympic watch party, do you always watch the Olympics?
Yes, I think it's a really good connection skill asking people
Yeah.
about their habits around big events. Do you usually do this? Do you always go to the game on Sunday nights? That kind of thing, right?
Exactly,
Habits.
and then depending on how they respond, right? I said, "Whenever I can." I definitely have a few favorite events, and the conversation's gonna go one way. If I had said, "No, this is my first time, I usually don't catch any of the events," then your follow-up question would be different.
Right, exactly. And you get a sense of who they are too, right?
Yeah.
Get a sense of how they spend their time. You said at the end, if you could choose an Olympic event to compete in, what would you choose? Right? Which event would you choose? That's
Yes,
kind of
I love
fun.
this conversation to this, sort of this question rather, to
Conditional,
keep the
hypothetical.
conversation
Yeah.
going. Yeah,
Yes.
like, make
Yeah.
it personal, right? If you were to compete, what would you do?
100%. Yeah, these are fun questions. I remember doing a lot of these hypothetical questions teaching English in the classroom. If you won the lottery, what would you do? But we actually love these conversations in real life. It
Right? We
allows you
often
to
use
say a
them as
lot about who
teachers to
you are.
practice, like,
Yeah.
using the conditional tense, but
Yeah.
it also yeah, they come up in conversations a ton because, like you said, it helps us actually find out what people are like, who they are, what their likes and dislikes. It's just fun
Yeah.
to know.
To find out and also to be able to articulate. When someone asks you that, it's exciting because then you get to say, this is who I am in the world. This is what I care about. This is what I would do with $3 million, right?
Exactly,
That's
right?
kind
Which
of
is fun,
cool.
it's interesting,
Yeah.
and the Olympics give you a chance, give you a springboard for these types of conversations, where if you're already
Yes.
watching or if you're at a party watching, ask
Yes.
ask people about it, right? Use this as a great conversation starter.
Yes. I think that's a takeaway today. We are talking about the Olympics, but it's a platform for you to kind of learn more about other people, about their values, about their lives and how they spend their time, right?
Exactly, absolutely, I love it. So guys, take advantage of this. Ask people if they're watching the Olympics, whether you are or not. It'll make for an interesting conversation.
Good stuff, Aubrey. All right, guys, hit that follow button because in the next Olympics update edition of All Ears English, we are going to dive into the controversies, right? We're going to show you
Exactly.
what are a few of the controversies swirling around the world that you may want to go deeper into, right? We're going to give you a survey of what's going on, right?
Yes,
Good
these
stuff.
make for really interesting conversations. So we'll give you some details about them and help you know how to chat about these with your friends.
All right, Aubrey, I'll see you in the next one. Talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks,
Bye.
Lindsay. Bye.
Bye.